The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Welcome to this week's Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Thanks to all of you guys for tuning in once again to, one of the best damn motorsports radio shows on the planet, at least judging by our rankings, I guess. That's a bit of a self-serving intro there. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. We got another one, another 2 hours of a lot of fun, that's for sure. I know today we've got a very, very special guest, especially with its Major League Baseball playoff time. So I thought, what better to get a Steinbrenner on here? Yes, you know Steinbrenners from the New York Yankees fame. Yes, we got George Steinbrenner on the show today. He is an IndyCar owner, one of the youngest IndyCar owners in history, and he is my guest today. We're going to talk IndyCar. We'll probably talk a little bit about Yankees and Major League Baseball, kind of the industry, the motorsports industry as we know it, how he got his start in here. His friendship with the Hertas and Colton Herta, this young shredder of an athlete who is just destroying everything in IndyCar right now, and blowing people's minds. And just a really, really great opportunity to have George Steinbrenner on the show today. So definitely looking forward to that. We've also got a big segment with Power Rankings. Also going to dive into some off-road news with Tiffany Stone. I know on my other show, the Off-Road Edition, for you off-road fans, this podcast only have to hit that up on iTunes. We've got Wes Miller, Baja Champ, this week on that show. And we've got, on Podcast 1 on Project Action, we got Sonia DeVille or Daria Baronato or Neto, who is on the new Total Divas. You know her from WWE fame. Anyways, we've got stack lineup on all three shows this week. But right now, it's all about the Down and Dirty Radio Show. It's George Steinbrenner on the show today. Also, like I said before, big IndyCar talk, Power Rankings, NASCAR playoffs, Baja happening down there south of the border. We got a lot to cover today right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with more. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Ford WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, Ford WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to Ford WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at FordWP.com.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Oh man, that was a hell of a ride. Go check out mymedic.com for the best first aid kits on the planet and save 15% with discount code JimBeaver. Again, mymedic.com, discount code JimBeaver, and save 15%. It's cheaper than a feeling.
All right, well, it's time to get things started on this week's Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm kind of trying to figure out where the hell I need to start this week, because we just got some big news coming out of the stage rally world here in the United States. Obviously, ARA, we got a lot of rally stuff to talk about. You know, IndyCar's wrapped up, and NHRA, yeah, granted, they are knee-deep in their playoffs. NASCAR is. I mean, you know, we had some Roval shenanigans. I know a lot of people not necessarily sold on the Roval concept. I know Chris Leone definitely is not. He's kind of come around. I know Kelly Crandall had some choice words about the Roval. I find it entertaining. That's for sure. Then, you know, Score, they announced their Baja 1000 map. So Baja 1000, obviously, you know, we're only a month-ish away from the 1,000, month and a half. So the team's going to start going down there pre-running here shortly. So, you know, we've got that going on. And then, man, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. It's silly season for everybody. Schedules kind of getting announced. Everybody figuring out where they're doing, jockeying for position with sponsors, you know, and things like that. But this stage rally calendar, and I know, you know, if you're a long time listener to this show, obviously you'll know I've worked in both rallycross and stage rally for many years. Was the voice of with ARA Rally for or not ARA Rally, the predecessor to ARA Rally America for 2 years. And then before that, I was the voice of GRC for 2 years. You know, I've been to a lot of rally events around this country, pretty much everything coast to coast as far as stage rally goes and nationals. You know, I've been just to a lot, right? So, and I still got a lot of friends in the business. Obviously, we do a lot of rally coverage here, you know, with drivers and things like that. Really looking forward to the ARA or the ARX championship this weekend. Sounds like Tanner Faust, he's got a really good shot at taking on another championship. You know, if so, I would assume we might have Tanner on the show next week. It's a pretty safe assumption, I'm just saying. But I want to talk about American Rally Association. You know, Rally America folded up, ARA takes over. Well, it wasn't really a takeover. It was kind of a force out of Rally America, whatever. Politics aside, you know, they are the premier national championship now, right? So they've got this national championship schedule they just released. And Idaho last year, you know, they've expanded to a 9-round national championship. Idaho last year wasn't, the easiest way to say it wasn't very smooth. I mean, like, it just didn't come off right? So I think Idaho got the punt. And most people will be like, all right, let's go back to 8. Well, they decided they're going to move Ohio, Southern Ohio Forest Rally, which is a very, very, very good regional rally. I mean, with Rally American, it was pulling 70, 80 entries for regional rally. That's very, very good. They decided to anoint them with the national championship round. And, you know, the biggest thing I've got here is stage rally in the United States is struggling. You got one manufacturer, a.k.a. Subaru, that's keeping things propped up. And, with Subaru keeping things propped up, it's, Subaru, obviously, they've got a big investment into rally with their rally team and everything else. So, chances are they're not going anywhere anytime soon. But when you ride or die with one brand or one partner, it makes things really, really tough. And it's a lot of the teams. I mean, there's very little media coverage of ARA. Let's just face it, it's truth. Their coverage, I don't want to say it sucks. It's non-existent. We cover it. There's a few other. Our good friend Bill Wood with Speed Freaks. He's a big fan of rally. Odds and ends here and there, but not really. And from national perspective, that us and maybe Bill Wood are the only people that it's even on our radar. There's this small regional or niche rally specific stuff that may cover it. But, these teams, just no ROI, right? Subaru has to develop their own content to get ROI. Ken Block goes in races. Ken Block develops his own content to get ROI, right? There's not a lot of value there, but there is a lot of diehard teams, good people, good teams that are going and they're racing every single weekend or every single event, right? And these guys are doing it out of pocket. Pay isn't great. It's not like paybacks are good if you win, open light or something like that, or two-wheel drive. It's just not. They're doing it for the love of the sport, much like desert racing. Desert racing does have more media and sponsorships and things like that. So, you got all this going on the rally front, right? Where, teams they're frustrated at this point. Costs are very expensive from the national front. Regionals, I think, are still doing pretty solid. To me, looking at all this, and this has been a struggle for 10 years. This is nothing new with ARA. Rally America had the exact same problems. So Idaho, you're going to remove them. To me, you would look at things, and I would want to scale back. And I've been a big fan of what SCORE has done on the desert racing front. Things weren't going well, right? They weren't trending great. They have scaled back to 4 major races a year, and you know what? They are killing it. They're doing it because they went, you know what? We're getting too big. We're trying to do too much. Let's scale back. Let's focus on our core competency, and let's just slay this. And SCORE has done it. They are slaying it. The entries are coming back. SCORE is very, very healthy right now. They've got a great television package. Entry numbers are up. And I've said this before. I've been critical of SCORE at times. Roger Norman absolutely slayed this idea, and they're killing it. Stage rally, you need to do the same thing. Why, when Idaho is falling out, why do you have to bring in another and keep it at 9? And we're not talking regional specific like desert racing is, where it's a national championship. It's all in one area of the country. These guys are going coast to coast, 3,000-4,000 mile pulls at times. Seriously, you shouldn't have gone. You went from 9 to 8, now back up to 9 because when Idaho dropped off. No, you should have went. You know what? We're going to whack a couple of these suckers that get crappy entries. We're going to go down to 6. Yeah, I said it. This national championship should be 6 events this year. Make it really easy on the team and make some really good regional events. I'm not saying get away from all these these others, but have some really good regional events in a 6-round national championship. And I think that is the key here. It's going to cut Subaru a little bit of break. It's going to cut all the guys, Cameron Steely's of the world, and Seahorns, and the guys and girls, Kiana Chang, that travel back and forth across the country. It's going to cut them a little slack, going to get their budget. Let me tell you, their sponsors, it ain't going to matter if they're running 8 or they're running 6 rounds. They're only getting X amount of dollars. And the sponsors, it's not like they're killing it with the value, you know what I mean, with the ROI and things like that. It's not like you got to have 2 or 3 more rounds and, it's going to justify these companies paying them an extra $100K. It's not happening. If anybody outside of a Subaru team's getting $100K from a sponsor to run stage rally, my mind would be blown at this point. So, yeah, I see this calendar come out, and it's actually a really, really nice calendar. Snowdrift, 100-Acre Wood, Olympus Rally, a former WRC event. Snowdrift, the only snow rally, on the schedule. 100-Acre, that everybody loves that event. It's one of Ken Block's favorites. Olympus, former WRC round. I love Oregon Trail because 3 days of complete different racing. Like I said, Southern Ohio was a legit regional rally, and, with great numbers. New England, that's an iconic event, always big numbers. Ojibwe in Minnesota, that one's its own unique. STPR, been around forever, iconic race. LSPR, it's always been there to kind of cap things off, you know what I mean, for the season. So, and then it's just I'm looking at things. They got Empire State back on the regional front. Idaho's now a regional again. Rally Colorado. They've got so many cool events. Like, why push to a 9-race national championship? Focus on your core competency, get numbers up, get return on investment up, get all the processes in place, get everything running smoothly, and then go, all right, now we're going to step it up to 7 one year. Next year, maybe we're going to step it up to 8. Okay, now we're going to step up 9. This thing, next year, they're going to have 10, and they're still not doing things right. Like, seriously, ARA, come on, pull your head out of your ass. Let's get things right here. This was your opportunity, and I feel like, it's – I love the people at ARA. I love the teams. I love the organization. USAC, I praise them for coming in and bailing things out. But, man, let's do things right. Let's do right by all the people in Stage Rally. I don't know. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting and raving here. We have George Steinbrenner, IndyCar team owner. He is going to be on the line when we return from this break. And I got to tell you, I am looking forward to this interview. It is going to be good stuff. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Good stuff to come. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle. Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance, rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
I'd like to welcome one of my guests today to the show, Mr. George Steinbrenner, man. I guess right now it's probably a pretty good time to be you, coming off a big win there at the finale in IndyCar with Colton, and I guess the Yankees are in the playoffs as well, man. So probably all smiles on your end, huh?
Oh, yeah. Nothing but smiles.
Yeah. So, I gotta jump back here a little bit, because I know, there's been all kinds of, news swirling and stuff like that, youngest, owner in IndyCar and this and that. But I got to ask you, man, because, most people would see the family path and be like, yeah, he would go down the baseball route. But what was the draw of IndyCar and, and auto racing for you? Because I know, going back, you were involved with the rallycross program there with Herta and things like that. But how was the draw for you over to the four-wheel side of things, man?
I grew up around IndyCar. My cousin was an IndyCar driver, Tony Renna, and my uncle Chris Simmons has been an engineer in IndyCar for a long time. And so I just grew up going to the track and being around the track, and sort of just grew a love for it from a young age.
Yeah. Was there, as you're taking all this in and things like that, was there any part of you where I want to get behind the wheel, or were you always kind of more drawn to kind of the executive role and things like that?
I was always more drawn to the executive side. There's sort of a familiarity, I guess, to that realm with my upbringing. And growing up, I always sort of even playing sports video games, I spent more time on building the team than I did actually playing games. So I sort of always had more of an interest in being on the put it together side rather than the executing on the field or track side.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of interesting too, because, with your age and things like that, I think, you look at auto racing in general, and I think a lot of, in a lot of regards, it's very much like baseball, where things have been done a certain way for so long. It's just kind of become that's the way you do it. Nobody's really questioned it because it's just kind of been that way, right? But I feel like you coming in, and with your upbringing, but also your age, you've got kind of a different viewpoint. Is there things you see in auto racing today where you're like, I think we can do better. I think we can make these changes and kind of shift the culture that has been there for so long?
Of course. And every generation or so, a sport kind of has to adapt to the new generation of sports fan. And I think it's coming to that point where IndyCar and motor racing in general has to sort of make that transition. And I think that starts in the digital realm, because that's where most of my generation and a little before and a little after all sort of live in the digital world now. And you see that with motorsport now, obviously, with more fan engagement, fan content on social media or digital platforms, and just trying to reach that demographic is the most important thing. And if you can reach them, get them interested, then they'll start to enjoy your product.
Yeah, well, and I think, honestly, looking at, all, I guess, forms of motorsports here in the United States, I feel like IndyCar really in the last couple of years, they've kind of been at the forefront of that movement and really, kind of shifted gears and gone that way where other series have been kind of slow to adapt. I feel like IndyCar really has been kind of on the bleeding edge. And I think we're seeing numbers, you hear things about NASCAR and how things are dwindling, and I see IndyCar and, year over year, everything seems to continue to grow and grow. And we found this growth in IndyCar where, other forms of motorsports, they're hurting right now.
Yeah. And credit to IndyCar for sort of trying their hardest to be at the forefront of it. And it's obviously something that I have a great interest in is sort of trying to reach my demographic, trying to tell people my age and show people my age how cool motor racing is and how cool IndyCar racing is. And the credit to IndyCar is sort of starting that transition effectively so far.
Yeah. Well, kind of, tell us, I know obviously you mentioned Tony Renna and being around IndyCar and things like that, but I think you've got an interesting story too, where I think a lot of people would think with your last name, you just kind of came in and, bought your way into IndyCar or something like that. And I know it was very, very far from that. I mean, I know the story is you started with Herta, with, Brian in that program. And I mean, you've kind of done everything and worked your way up, right? I mean, how did that door kind of open up, and kind of how do we get where we're at today, through motorsports? Because, I think your story is very interesting in it that you've worked many different jobs in the auto racing industry, and you're still, very young.
Yeah. So my journey started, with Brian. I'd known Brian for many years through my stepfather, Sean Jones, who they'd raced each other in Barber Saab 30 years ago, and became friends, stayed friends. Now they're business partners in the IMSA program, what was the Rallycross program, now the touring car IMSA program. And I went to intern because I wanted to get involved in racing. I wanted to work in racing. I wanted to move to Indy and do what I'd wanted to do for 10 years at that point. And so, that's where I got my start. It was a heck of a year. It was kind of like drinking through a fire hose working in Rallycross. It's very intense over the course of a race weekend. A lot of stuff to do, a lot of things get broken, a lot of things, a lot of things change, a lot of late nights at the track. So, it was a great way to learn and gain experience right out of the gate.
Well, and then how did this opportunity, open up? And we'll go into, kind of the announcement that came out with Andretti here, a couple of weeks ago. But, kind of take us through, this announcement and jumping in with both feet. I mean, obviously, Colton, this kid is, he's been kind of a prodigy for a long time. Everybody knew he was going to be good. I don't know that anybody knew he was going to be this good this quick. But how did this opportunity for this season actually open up and bring Colton in and, and with Harding and how did this all get put together for this season? Because I think that was one of those where honestly it caught a lot of people off guard. They're like, oh wow, man, this is a big move.
Yeah, it started really in Indy Lights when Colton wanted to move over from Europe because he didn't want to do the F1 route. He wanted to be an IndyCar driver. He wanted to be like his dad. So it started there when we formed the team and partnered with Andretti for those first 2 years. And obviously it was an incredible place to be, obviously, especially in Indy Lights. How they built that program up to be really the dominant force in Indy Lights. And so we knew that's where we wanted to put Colton. And we had a somewhat of a relationship with Andretti based on, again, Brian Herta and knowing some of the people from Andretti before, and it sort of became an easy home to find. And then after this 2019 season, partnering with Mike Harding, who had an existing program of a year, and forming sort of more or less continuing the relationship with Andretti with the Andretti Technologies partnership that we had this year, and sort of relatively staying under that tent or next to that tent. And it sort of lended itself to being a natural home when we were trying to figure out how to keep Colton. Once Rossi signed back with Andretti, Colton became the hot commodity, the new big free agent. And so working on a way to keep him from finding another place to drive, a big part of it was forming this partnership and putting the best possible scenario for him next year and beyond to compete for a championship.
Yeah. Well, and as you as a team owner, I mean, that's got to have you pretty excited to to continue that relationship with Andretti, because I feel like you'd mentioned working with Brian and now with Andretti and all these. I mean, I got to think for a guy like you, I mean, to be able to be around some of the best in the business like you have, I mean, that's got to be exciting for you, just with everything you're going to be able to absorb from these guys that have won so many races.
Oh yeah, and being able to surround myself at a young age has sort of been the goal from the start. Surround myself with as many people I can learn from as possible. Started with Brian, heard 10 years ago when I first met him, and I sort of shadowed him throughout those years of trying to learn as much as I could from him. And then meeting Michael Andretti, J.F. Thorman, Rob Edwards, the whole Andretti crew. And then this last year with people like Brian Barnhart and Al Unser Jr. on the Harding side, on the Harding Steinbrenner side, it became just a huge ecosystem of people to learn from and to get experience from people who I think want to combine 80 races in IndyCar and spent maybe a total of 100 years in the sport. So just a lot of people I can learn a lot from.
Yeah. How does the money hunt affect, IndyCar and things like that? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there's sponsor dollars and things like that. And obviously Andretti Autosport's been phenomenal at finding, funding and able to keep, operations going, whereas a lot of teams we've seen struggle. But, how is that, and how do you approach this, because like you'd said earlier, I mean, we're a complete different day and age where, 15, 20 years ago was just all about that, logo on the side of the car and things like that and the TV time. And now there's so much with the business to business end. And, there's so many things that go into finding funding for an IndyCar team, behind the scenes and bringing those companies value. I mean, how's your approach to this? I mean, how are you taking, the business side of IndyCar all in?
Yeah, obviously being partnered with Andretti and Indy Lights, I got to see a little bit of how they operated on the IndyCar side, and then building that relationship with their commercial department with the folks inside, because I worked out of the Andretti office those 2 years in Indy Lights, so I got sort of the in-depth look at. I mean, I had a cubicle in the room with all their public relations and client services folks, and so I got to see sort of the in-depth view of how they operate, and then being able to partner with them again, getting to see even more in depth how they operate on the commercial side, sort of how they have to get creative nowadays with business partnerships, experiential marketing, sort of creating a different experience for a partner than would have been 20, 25 years ago. And it's a great learning experience as sort of that whole partnership has been so far. To learn sort of the ins and outs of how IndyCar teams have to be creative now with how they approach partnerships and commercial sponsors.
And we are going to take a short commercial break here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. But you don't want to go anywhere, because we got a whole lot more to come right here with George Steinbrenner on the show. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty Radio Show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Do you race, or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500, or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Hanging out with IndyCar team owner George Steinbrenner right now. So I got to ask, you walk into Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you've been fortunate to walk into Yankee Stadium many times. And, you look at the World Series, you look at the Indy 500. I mean, what kind of feeling do you get in both? I mean, is it comparable to walk into Yankee Stadium when, Game 7 of the World Series is happening, or the Indy 500 when it's, it's Memorial Day weekend and, things are getting ready to fire up there? I mean, you get the same kind of excitement and rush?
Yeah. Especially this year being my first 500. It was sort of just a surreal feeling. It ended pretty quickly, unfortunately, with the fuel pump issue. But yeah, the whole pre-race, the whole 2-3 hours before the race, it was a lot of nerves. A lot of high heart rate, stuff like that. Just anticipation, a crazy, just sort of soaking in all the pomp and circumstance, tradition that I've loved my entire life, of the pre-race, and then being able to be in a pit box watching it was a really cool, surreal experience, and something I hope doesn't fade with more and more 500s. I hope I still get that sort of butterflies feeling every time. But yeah, the first time was something spectacular.
Yeah. Well, let's go back and talk a little bit about Colton, because I know you've played a big part in his career. I mean, we got to talk about this season, though, because, I think it was preseason testing at Circuit of the Americas, and everybody knew this kid was going to be good. And I think you guys went to Circuit of the Americas for the preseason test, and I can't remember, but I think he was at the top of the charts. You know what I mean? And I think everybody was a little caught off guard, like, oh wow, this kid is the real deal. And then, and obviously taking that victory, just come off a victory. I mean, he's had poles. I mean, he's run up front. He's had just wicked speed, even at the Indy 500. And you guys have to just be thrilled with where he's at. I mean, what were the expectations coming into this year? Because I got to think, I mean, he had to have just blown away expectations.
Yeah, the expectations more or less before preseason testing were, maybe compete for top tens. We finished 7th, 8th on a weekend. We're feeling pretty darn good about ourselves, and we probably executed really well on track and in the engineering room, and so we thought that would more or less be a successful weekend. Then preseason testing came along. He led the first 2 practice testing sessions on day 1, then was first and second on the 2 the next day. We kind of looked at each other and said, well, okay, that wasn't a fluke. He led 3 of the 4 sessions, finished second in the 4th. It's not a regulated, strange, jumbled test session where it's sort of you're sitting in third and like maybe we're third, maybe we're 12th, who knows? But it kind of ramped up our expectations. We didn't want it, since it was still testing, we didn't want to get too carried away. And then St. Pete, right out of the gate, we were fast. And then, just missed out of the Fast 6 because of a penalty. And all things considered, we finished 8th. And before the season, you told me we finished 8th the first race. I would have said, that's perfect. We probably ran a hell of a race. We probably executed really well. And to come away disappointed was sort of a strange feeling. And then to win the next race was incredible, entirely above our expectations. And so after that, we kind of expected to be towards the top of the timing charts. And now, a well-executed race for us, we expected to be in the top 3. We expected to be in podium positions, maybe top 5. And, it just completely shifted our expectations. So now we would know if we executed well if we finished in the top 5. And we had a couple mistakes. We had a lot of mechanical issues, a lot of, lapses, and so the season was a bit of a roller coaster, but obviously finishing off in the note we did in Laguna, sort of a perfectly executed race all the way around and a perfectly executed weekend. It was a great way to sort of finish the year and sort of get our heads in the clouds for what can happen next year.
Yeah, well, and talking about next year, and I mean, even further down the line, I mean, what's the plans for you in IndyCar? Obviously, you've got this program with Colton, and it's been phenomenal so far. I mean, what are the long-term goals? I mean, would you love to have, a multi-car team, run under your banner? I mean, obviously, you've got to be stoked on your relationship with Andretti and things moving forward. But, I mean, what are the plans? Are you just kind of taking about year by year and kind of seeing what comes at you guys?
Yeah, that's the way you kind of have to do it. I could sit here and say, in 3 years I want to be running 2 cars, but if 2 years and 10 months comes around and we're not there, you can't really extend yourself to fit some arbitrary goal. Really, the only goal is to compete, to put a car out there that can win, and whether that's 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, whichever amount of cars we need to make that happen is the amount of cars that we'll have.
Yeah. So, all that being said, man, I know we gotta draw back to I guess our original lead in the whole baseball thing. But Yankees in the playoffs. I mean, there ever been any itch on your part to jump into the baseball business, or are you pretty content over here on the auto racing side of things?
Well, 100%. I've always had a love for baseball just as much as I've had a love for racing. I don't. The only time I miss games is if I'm in the pit stand, and so. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility down the road. I'd like to be involved in IndyCar as long as I can, regardless of what else I do. But if I'm able someday to be involved in the 2 biggest passions I have in life, I think I'd be a pretty happy guy.
Yeah. So obviously, you're pretty convinced the Yankees got a good shot at taking home the World Series this year, right?
I think we got as good a chance as anyone.
All right, man. Well, George, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, man. It's been fun watching this program, come along. I've been fortunate to have Colton on the show a few times this year, and he's always he's getting more and more animated every time I get him on. So I'm really appreciating, watching him come along and stoked to see the progress on your guys' program.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks. Man, what a good time having George Steinbrenner on the show, and this is an interview I wanted to do, since the announcement was made he was going to become a team owner. And, it's one thing I absolutely love about IndyCar. NASCAR, I feel like it's the same old, right? It's the same sponsors, the same schedule, like pretty much every year. I mean, it takes something like quote unquote the Roval, to really blow people's minds. But IndyCar, they've been very forward thinking, and I think that's what draws people like a George Steinbrenner to the sport. It's very progressive in the way it's presenting itself. The media surrounding it. Bringing in sponsors, the younger demographic, like they have absolutely slayed it. And I think NASCAR's been so slow to adopt. It's really starting to cause them problems. I mean, NHRA, they're another one, very, very embracing, the younger fan base, digital, social media, things like that, and IndyCar, it's just, it's really lent itself. I mean, you see the sponsors coming in and some of the, some of the people getting involved in the sport. And I think it's really, really a special time for IndyCar. I know I'm really, really excited to see, the future and what it holds, because I think IndyCar is going to do nothing but grow, and it's a lot of people want to talk about things before the split, IndyCar, Trump NASCAR, and blah, 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 and IndyCar was the greatest, and then split happened, and this and that, and it's never as good as Champ Car was, and and all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, it's all water under the bridge. You can't go back in time. I'm sure if we could, a lot of teams, a lot of series, a lot of influencers, people in the know, they would have done things differently, right? But I think, it's not often you get to take an entire motorsport and reboot the entire thing, and that's precisely what we're in the middle of in IndyCar. And granted, I mean, it's got roots 100-plus years deep with the Indy 500, but I feel like IndyCar as a whole, man, we're in this reboot process, and IndyCar 2.0, man, they are absolutely slaying it. You just look like everybody wants to get involved. McLaren's coming over, getting involved. You've got guys like George Steinbrenner wants to get involved. Young drivers coming up. We got great American drivers, great European drivers, great South American drivers. I mean, we've got, Asian drivers, Takuma Sato, who's slaying it. You know what I mean? We've got drivers, literally, it is a global motorsport, all-encompassing, and with the expansion, I know, Joseph Newgarden, he goes there to the Roval, right, to do a demo. And the biggest news coming out of the Roval wasn't who won. It wasn't the racing. It was Newgarden just absolutely destroying the lap times of the NASCAR. And, he went out there with no practice, nothing, and different tire rubber on the track and everything else, and just absolutely laid down some amazing laps, blew people's minds. I mean, Clint Boyer was like mind blown, like, wow, that's like watching a fighter jet go around here. And it makes you, it's like you look at a NASCAR and then you look at IndyCar and it's like, oh, so that's what the big fuss is about, right? But I think, IndyCar too, they're progressive with their packaging. I know moving forward, they're going to that hybrid. I think a lot of people think hybrid. They think like Ford Escape hybrid. No, it's a completely different concept. Well, it's kind of the same, but different, but really do your studying. But I think with that and, and obviously, they're doing a lot with, safety canopy and things like that, and we don't know what the final version is going to be like. I know the one that they just dropped this week isn't the most pleasant looking canopy. But I think, they're really pushing the envelope in regards to safety as well. And, and like George had said, it's just the media, the way they're presenting it, the digital, like it's a good time to be involved in IndyCar. It's a good time to be a fan. And I think all of us are really, really excited about the future and what it holds. And, and really look at it 2020, and we're starting to grow these superstars. And obviously, you've got the guys that have been there and you've got, but I mean, you've got guys like, Hinch has become this, sensation. The Penske drivers have always had a good following. I mean, Alexander Rossi came out of nowhere, right? And he's become one of the biggest names in motorsports in this country. And, it's because he's, he just slays it. And Connor Daly's another one. Gosh, you start reading the rumor mills and and things like that. And Connor Daly, this guy, he's like the journeyman, but he's a great driver, and he pops in and does well. And then like people are so invested in this Connor Daly story though, because people like want him to succeed. They want him to get this A+ top shelf ride, or at least a full-time ride. And, and he hasn't been able to secure it yet. He hasn't been able to do it. It's not his on-track performance. I think a lot of it has to do with money, budget, things like that. But a guy like that, I mean, you've got the fans invested in him. Like, I see the articles pop up or the comments on social media, and, like, people are ride or die with Connor Daly. Like, the first team that actually signs Daly to a full-time deal, like, man, you're going to inherit this massive fan base. And, you know, Daly, he's always got a smile, and, you know, he's never down, publicly at least, and things like that, and never, you know, talks bad about anybody. And, you know, but you're growing guys like that, and the fans are just so invested. Colton Herta, I mean, you know, we all knew that Colton was going to be really, really good. We've seen him in lights. I mean, his dad was great, you know, and, you know, you look at a kid like that, and we knew he was going to be so, so good, and he comes in, and nobody expects a lot out of somebody in their rookie year. But Herta, the way he attacked, I mean, and he attacked. The way he, you know, attacked things, and, you know, it was just amazing, you know, and he's grown his fan base. I would like to see, I haven't looked at his social numbers, but I got to think, man, they've doubled in the 1 year he's been in IndyCar, hands down, easily, you know. But you got a kid like that, and IndyCar's home growing these people, you know, and we get the Alonsos that are interested in coming over and things like that, who are going to bring all the fanfare. And, you know, Danica did that when she came back, and the sport needs that. But I think it's amazing that we're home growing these talents, you know, and IndyCar through the ladder system and things like that. They're coming up and they're successful. And, you know, to me, when you can do things like that, you know, you're really putting your roots in and you're building. And like I said before, IndyCar 2.0, man, you don't want to mess around. This is motorsport done right. And, you know, and you don't see any kind of black eyes in the media or anything like that. Occasionally there might be something, but by and large, it's all positive news. And when you can have a series like that that's, you know, got amazing racing on track. I mean, IndyCar, I've said it before, they are proof you don't need gimmicks. No gimmicks. NASCAR, they become such a gimmick fest with these races and the stages and the playoffs and this format and that format and this qualifying. IndyCar, there ain't no gimmicks. Fastest person wins the race. Fastest person wins the championship. You know what? That is what I like. It is just good, solid, high-quality racing, and IndyCar is killing it right now. And stoked to have guys like George Steinbrenner getting involved because he sees that same vision that IndyCar has. Anyways, I'm going to take a short break. We come back. I don't know, we're getting pretty close to kicking off hour number 2 right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere as possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in-store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
All right, getting ready to kick off hour number 2 here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Just doing a little housekeeping here to clean up hour number 1. If you got any questions for me during the show, hit me up at JimBeaver15 on social media, or any questions, man. But I love taking those fan questions on the show, so hit me up. If you got guest suggestions, whatever, man, you know, keep it rolling there. Same social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You will know. We've got some great discussions actually going on in our Facebook group recently. Everything from a stage rally, coincidentally, to, I don't know, there's been some good off-road talk on there, UTVs. I know there's some new UTV manufacturers with some stuff coming out. So rumors have been kind of flying around on that. So I don't know. You never know what the hell's going to happen in our Facebook group either. So, yeah, so check out the off-road edition of the show. It's already out this week. Wes Miller, Baja Champ, he's on there. Hit the same subscribe button on iTunes. You'll get this show and that one. Or if you're more interested in my Project Action show, or that one as well, we got Brian Deegan coming up next week. We've got this week we had Sonya Deville from WWE. Daria Baronetto is her actual real name. She's on Total Divas, as well as being a former pro MMA fighter. Great interview with her. Actually, first openly gay female wrestler in WWE history. So good stuff with her. So yeah, hit those up on iTunes or check out all our content. We're dropping it down at DirtyShow.com. Also got a YouTube channel. Had some big news coming out of our iRacing team, where we acquired Reignition Esport, and now they are under the Jim Beaver Esports banner. So we got about 14 guys on our roster now. So big stuff coming on the esports front as well. So all that, I don't know, it's all happening. You can keep track of it on social media. Anyways, I'm going to take a short break. Tired of rambling here. I need to catch a breather. And when we come back, it'll be hour number 2 right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
All right, welcome to hour number 2 of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. If you are just joining us, you missed one hell of an hour number 1. I went on a rant about Stage Rally. We also had George Steinbrenner, IndyCar team owner, on the show. So it was definitely good stuff happening on hour number 1. You want to go back in the archives, hit us up on iTunes and listen to that, or at the website downanddirtyshow.com. That being said, it is time for a Dirtfish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com. And if you're looking for a discount code at Dirtfish, you know what? I got you locked in. I got you handled. You know what? Use the coupon code DOWNDIRTYDF. That's DOWNDIRTYDF, and that will get you 15% off at Dirtfish Rally School. All classes. DOWNDIRTYDF, 15% off. Yes, our coupon code did change, so if you're looking to use the old one, it ain't going to work no more. That is right. We got a refreshed one, so we're going to keep you on your toes, make you remain listeners to the show each and every week to get the new code. Yeah, we're tricking you. Anyways, Dirtfish Rally Report. ARA, big news coming out. They got the 2020 National Championship schedule has been announced. I know they've got, I believe, one rally left, LSPR, for 2019, but they brought out the 2020 calendar. Biggest difference in this one was Idaho got dropped, as I said in the opening segment, and they brought in They brought in the Southern Ohio Forest Rally. So Snowdrift kicking things off. Then you move to 100 Acre Wood, Olympus Rally, former WRC event, Oregon Trail Rally, one of my favorites. You got a Southern Ohio Forest Rally now in June. Then in July, it moves to New England Forest Rally. Ojibwe comes late August. Then you got STPR running in September. I really like that in June, by the way. I liked it a lot better in June than where it's at now. LSPR there, capping things off the 16th and 17th of October. And once again, Idaho Rally falling off the national calendar and moving into a regional rally. A lot of it's a fan favorite rally, but they just I don't know. They had some issues this last year, and just things weren't right. And I agree with the decision to move. So if you want my real dissection of the entire calendar, I would say go back and listen to the first 30 minutes of the show, because I got pretty deep into this whole rally calendar thing. But that was your Dirtfish Rally Report, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Use that coupon code DownDirtyDF at dirtfish.com, and that will get you 15% off all classes. Once again, DownDirtyDF, all one word, DownDirtyDF, 15% off at Dirtfish Rally School. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we come back. It's going to be Power Rankings right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You don't want to go anywhere. Extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3 from General Tire. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressive styling with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, and it is Power Rankings time. Joined on the line by my media director, Chris Leone, who don't know, Chris, your favorite weekend of the year, Roval, my friend. I'm poking the bear there a little bit. If anybody knows, Chris not the biggest fan of Roval, and we'll just leave it at that. But it did make for some entertaining racing at the Roval. We also had F1. I don't know what else we have. NHRA, they're knee deep in their playoffs as well. So I don't know. We had a lot of racing, not necessarily off road or anything of that regard. But I guess we did have ARX as well mixed in the mix. So I don't know, solid weekend.
Don't forget Motocross Nations, Jim. Had another interesting USA lineup, but Motocross Nations over in the Netherlands, over at TT Circuit House, and they built a sand circuit for this one. So that just added another interesting wrinkle to what was already a pretty fun international weekend of motorsport.
Yeah, and I know before we get into things, I have an honorable mention, and I have to mention it. I didn't think it was warranted to put it on my list. I toyed with the idea. But, Chris, did you watch at all Joseph Newgarden, lap the Roval? I think the biggest story coming out of this weekend wasn't Xfinity, it wasn't Cup, it was Newgarden. Literally, I think he got the NASCAR community's attention because I think he was something like 12 seconds faster around the Roval than any of the Cup cars. Like, it was mind-blowing, and I think Clint Boyer, he goes, I've never actually seen an IndyCar run. He's like, this is like a space shuttle on the track. Like, Boyer, his mind was absolutely blown. Like, wow, I had no idea they were that fast. And I think, literally the story coming out of this weekend was, one, is IndyCar actually going to eventually be at the Roval because it's been years since they've actually run at Charlotte on the 1.5 mile. I mean, we're talking decades, actually. But honestly, Newgarden, that was a big storyline coming out of this weekend.
Oh, no doubt, Jim. And, it's one of the things that people have been talking about for ages now is, when are NASCAR and IndyCar going to do a doubleheader? When are NASCAR and IndyCar going to do a doubleheader? And for a very long time, that's really been an unthinkable proposition. Nobody's wanted to work together on it, regardless whether there's bad blood, whether there are just different priorities and things won't work out right, if they're concerned about who's getting top billing, equal billing, whatever it may be. That is certainly one thing that you can say for the Roval is I think it would probably be about the best possible place at this point for anybody to have a doubleheader weekend. I mean, Charlotte, SMI, they've always done a great job of thinking out of the box, whether it was, putting lights on the track to be able to do the Winston so many years ago, or bringing Global Rallycross to the front straightaway, about under a decade ago, and getting all the NASCAR guys watching, these little compact cars going over these little metal ramps and jumps and things. SMI and Charlotte have always been very forward thinking. I feel like if any group is going to be the one to try and put together a doubleheader weekend like that, it would be the folks at Charlotte, it'd be the folks at SMI, and considering the laps that Joseph laid down. And, I definitely saw some people thinking like, oh, he's probably just got the highest downforce package or whatever. He may not even really be driving that car at anger. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of buzz there. I think there would be a lot of excitement for a Roval race for IndyCar. I think we just have to wait and see what happens for 2021, but I know I would be at the very least disappointed if they didn't get something together by then.
Yeah, and I think, one of the big arguments has always been, well, who gets top billing? IndyCar is going to want it, NASCAR is going to want it. And I think the way you structure this deal, and I think everybody's thought doubleheader, you got to do it like Long Beach, where everybody runs on the same day. They run IMSA, then they run IndyCar, they run SST. And I'm like, no, I think that's the wrong approach. I think with a doubleheader like this, you do it, like you said, a weekend. IndyCar has no problem running Saturday night races. We've seen that, time and time again. So I think you run the IndyCars seriously Saturday night under the lights on the Roval, and then you turn around on Sunday and you run the Cup cars. I think that way they both get top billing, and and it's, I don't know, that's kind of my approach to the thing. And I think if they approached it that way, it actually would work.
For sure. I think from a racing standpoint, I think that's the way to go. I think from a TV standpoint, I mean, I would if I were IndyCar, I'd want to bring this one to, network television. I'd want this to be an NBC race. And I think that's the other interesting proposition that you'd have to deal with, where it's probably a lot easier to get network TV time for IndyCar on a Saturday afternoon than a Saturday night, considering that we're not talking the 500. But also the fact that this would most likely end up being the season finale for IndyCar. I don't know. I think there are a lot of ways you can go for it, but I think that if they're going to do that, they're both going to want to be on the same TV network, whichever network that ends up being. Whether it's a cable race for both or whether it's a network race for both. But I would assume both would really like to be on the big Peacock rather than NBCSN for an event like that. That's just really something that's kind of unprecedented in modern motorsports right now, where you don't really have a lot of top-tier series of the sizes of NASCAR and IndyCar running on the same weekend with marquee events like that.
Yeah, I think that would, if they put it together, that's one. Mark my calendar. I would actually be there for that, I think, for sure. That, I think, would turn into a can't-miss weekend for anybody in media or the fan department. But that being said, obviously Newgarden was one of my honorable mentions. But let's get to the actual real picks, Chris. Who was number 5 on your list this week?
Well, Jim, number 5, I'm going to go to Circuit of the Americas, a track that I haven't personally been to in a few years now, and certainly haven't seen the current Rallycross layout, but did a couple of Rallycross events there for X Games in the past. And, Tanner Faust, I'm going to give my number 5. It's nice to see, Tanner became the first driver to win multiple supercar races in ARX this year, but he also kind of redeemed himself from, well, I mean, even then that's not entirely true. I mean, he was the defending winner coming into Dakota, but I remember the first time that Rallycross, through GRC and X Games Austin was at Circuit of the Americas. And, Tanner was coming in as kind of a big favorite, and a lot of people were, really looking forward to, seeing him race. He was in that, Block was in that, Pastrana, Deegan, all the big names. And a lot of those guys got eliminated in their first round at, the first time that Rallycross went to Dakota. And I remember, I think Tanner actually flipped in that race 5 years ago. So, very different now. He's kind of become the master of that track, it seems. Had a hard fight with Andreas Backerud, making his debut for Subaru, took the championship lead, has a pretty healthy lead going into this weekend's finale at Mid-Ohio. So Tanner Faust, well-deserved spot in the list. He's my number 5.
Well, and for my number 5, I'm going to mirror you here. So weird, eerie thing that you and I are actually 1 for 1 on the same page. But, yeah, Tanner Faust, all the reasons you had mentioned. I will say, this year, it was set up to not be Tanner's year. I know Volkswagen, with a full factory works effort kind of pulled out. He does have support from Volkswagen, but I don't think it's, at the level that we were accustomed to. We knew those cars were good. Beetle's on its way out. Scott Speed shifts gears. We didn't, honestly, we thought this was going to be the year, maybe Volkswagen, really, we see them stumble finally. And Tanner, I got to tell you, he has proven everybody wrong this year, and he's had a phenomenal year. And I think a lot of times, and I know I'm guilty of it, I forget how ridiculously good Tanner Faust actually is. And I mean that, Tanner's a good friend of mine, and I mean that in the best possible way, but I think he's so good that it just, there's not a lot of flash. He just goes in, does the work, and gets wins. And I think this year is one of those, like, everybody's taking notice. Oh, yeah, we can't forget about that Tanner Faust guy because he is that good. And, and so Tanner, obviously well-deserving, on his way to a championship. Obviously, it would have been an interesting battle, with Scott if he would have been able to, to stay in things. But Tanner Faust, absolutely well-deserving, number 5 on both of our lists. And that being said, we are going to have to take a short commercial break. We come back, Chris and I will have our top 4s right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver and Chris Leone here with our power rankings. Both of us getting through our number fives. We both had Tanner Faust at number 5 on the week, and which has me curious to see if our top 4 will somewhat be anywhere near each other, Chris. But who did you have coming in at number 4 on your list?
Well, Jim, I am going to go to Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, and how about them Capco boys? Billy and Steve Torrance meeting in the final yet again in an NHRA event. Countdown race this time, obviously the second race of the playoffs, and after both of them kind of stumbled in the opener at Maple Grove a couple of weeks ago, both of them rebounding. So Billy takes the victory, his third of the season, and climbs up to 8th in points. Steve, with that final round appearance, gets to within 2 points of Doug Kalita for the lead in the championship. So, a fantastic rebound weekend for those guys. I know it's going to be hard, for anybody to ever try and accomplish what Steve Torrance did last year. And frankly, at this point now, nobody can, because all 4 of the countdown classes have seen different winners in both of their respective races so far. But, for that reason, Torrance Racing, them Capco boys, they are at number 4.
I can't ever argue with them Capco boys. But for my number 4, I'm actually going to go Roval Racing here, and I'm going to go to Xfinity and the Dinger, AJ Allmendinger. Well, 1, anytime you can beat Christopher Bell, it's a good day. But 2, I mean, AJ, I love AJ because I remember way back to he and Scott Speed were on the cover of Racer Magazine, and and Red Bull had this big Formula One driver search, and they're both part of that program, and both have kind of gone their separate ways in their careers. And, and AJ, he had some struggles with, with some personal demons at one point and things like that. But you got to root for a guy who has completely come back and is still racing at such an elite level on road courses. And, I thought it was just a bit of a feel-good story. Obviously, he's done quite well for himself in Xfinity. But AJ Allmendinger, phenomenal effort there. It was an interesting Xfinity race. I actually kind of enjoyed the Xfinity race more than I did the Cup race for multiple reasons. But I got AJ Allmendinger at number 4 on my list, Chris.
Definitely a good choice, Jim. And that was one of the races that I did manage to watch every single lap of pretty much this weekend. And yeah, fantastic drive by AJ to, sort of pull away there. There was quite a bit of chaos, in the middle of the pack and towards the rear, especially in the very last couple of laps of that race. But, you put yourself out front, you have a strong car, and those Colleague Racing cars certainly are pretty strong. You managed to avoid some of that stuff. But for my number 3, I am actually going to head all the way across the pond. I am going to go to MX of Nations, and I am going to give it to that Netherlands team. The first time they have ever won Motocross of Nations, and the first time that a host country has won in 4 years. We couldn't get the job done on home soil last year, unfortunately. The last team to do it was France, but Glenn Koldenoff, 1-1, pair of victories, both of his races. Jeffrey Hurlings was strong. None of their riders finished outside of the top 10 in any of the races that they ran. that is as dominant of a performance as you can get at Motocross of Nations. And, well, of course, it's a bummer to see, some of our homegrown talent, the stars of Supercross and Pro Motocross also, not really have the greatest performance. I mean, you got to keep in mind, it's, most of the time they're heading over to Europe to tracks that these, MXGP guys have known for years. So, they're kind of at a disadvantage, but, hey, what can you say about the Netherlands team, though, with a performance like that? I think the grand total for them was only 18 points. So, got to hand it to them for a fantastic weekend and a well-deserved victory, their first at MX Nations.
Yeah, no arguments with them. I will say that Netherlands did not make my list. For my number 3, though, I'm going to go back to the Roval, and I'm going to go with race winner Chase Elliott, who I've started to become a big fan of Chase Elliott. This kid is a phenomenal driver. Big victory there, solidified himself into, I think it was after the second stage, he had made his way into the round of 12, I believe. But just a great effort by him. And, for any other reason than his burnout was one for the ages there, his victory burnout. So Chase Elliott, he is number 3 on his victory in Cup at the Roval.
All right, Jim. I see your Chase Elliott, and I will get there. But at number 2, I am heading to Russia, and I am going to give the nod to Lewis Hamilton, setting another Formula One record by leading his 143rd career race. And that was a record that was previously held by Michael Schumacher, and you feel bad about it, but it seems like at this point, by the time he wraps up, Lewis Hamilton is basically going to have Michael Schumacher's name erased from the record books because he has been that dominant. Mercedes is still perfect in Russia. Lewis has now won 4 of those events, but a stellar weekend for them. They didn't take the lead in the beginning, and Ferrari kind of, outgamed themselves a little bit, I think, with how they handled stuff early on in the race, having Vettel in the lead instead of Leclerc. But, all that doesn't matter when you've got a dominant driver and a dominant car that just does what they need to do. And that's how Mercedes have been for multiple years now in Formula One. And that's certainly how Lewis Hamilton has been, even dating back to the very beginning of his career with McLaren, before he moved over to Mercedes. So, for that reason, had to have Lewis Hamilton on the list. I have him at number 2.
Yeah, I've got Hamilton at my list, I believe, somewhere along here. But Billy Torrance, I'm going to go with him. Capco boys at number 2, Chris. Same reasons you said. I had Billy Torrance with an asterisk Capco boys because Billy took the win, and anytime Billy can take the win, it gets me excited just because he's a part-time effort. But, for him and Steve both to be there at the top and top fuel, I mean, you got to give a nod to the entire Capco boys team. And, they are running like clockwork right now. Obviously, Steve will take a victory at some point in this playoff format NHRA has. He hadn't got there yet, but, there's no doubt. I think he's like 2 points out of first place or 4 points. I mean, Kalitta's got him clipped just a bit, I believe, but it's literally a deadlock. I think Steve will find his mojo. Obviously, the Capco boys definitely have theirs. Billy Torrance, definitely number 2 on my list this week. So, Chris, I think I know who your number 1 is. I'm pretty sure you know who my number 1 is. So tell me about your number 1.
Well, Jim, I bet you thought that it was going to be a cold day in hell before I ever gave a Roval winner the number 1 spot in my power rankings. But I've got to give it to Chase Elliott for this one.
Is the Roval growing on you a bit, Chris? Like I feel like the Roval's growing on you. I mean, you gave this glowing review about IndyCar and NASCAR in this matchup, and now we've got Chase Elliott at number 1 on your list. Like I'm feeling like this Roval's growing on you a bit.
Well, Jim, I will say this. Anytime that a driver bins it going straight on into the wall in turn 1, just essentially locks it up and just misses the corner completely and then comes back and wins the race and then does the burnout in the exact same spot where he binned it earlier, that guy is going to get some special recognition on my list. I think listeners who have heard our power rankings in the past know that I'm not the world's biggest Chase Elliott fanboy. I tend to lean more towards the black hat guys, the Kyle Bushes of the world, just because I see the value in having those bad guys be good. Because, one of the things that I've always observed about racing fans is they don't just love when their favorite driver wins. They love it almost even more when the guy who they love to hate the most loses or pulls out or whatever. But, Chase Elliott has rightfully earned, his place sort of at the top of the NASCAR pantheon. Fantastic driver, does an amazing job with fans, is very consistent. Once he finally got that first victory, that monkey off his back, he just became a totally different driver and, is certainly a top championship contender this year alongside Truex, alongside Busch. He has earned that number one spot, and I don't care what kind of track you do it on, whether it's an oval, whether it's a road course, whether it's the Roval. If you pull off a weekend like that and you recover from a mistake like that and you poke fun at yourself the way that he did, you're getting special consideration from me. You're getting that number one spot.
Wow, Chris Leone giving props. All right, I like it. Well, for that, I am going to go to Russia and Lewis Hamilton. How can you argue with this? I mean, I've become a bit of a Lewis Hamilton fan. I was overly critical of him just because he's made a lot of remarks in the past about IndyCar, but I can appreciate the way he stood up for Formula One drivers and gone to the FIA and things like that, and like you had said, he clipsed one of Schumacher's records. I know this victory brings him 9 short of Michael Schumacher's overall win record. I think this was his 82nd victory. So I think he's 9 shy. So another 10 wins, and like you said, Schumacher just going to be erased out of the record books at some point. Hamilton. This was a race they weren't supposed to win. I mean, Ferrari and anybody that follows motor racing or any kind of social accounts knows. I don't know what the hell is going on there between Leclerc and Vettel and this argument and team orders and whatever, and that just gets me sick to my stomach when you start talking team orders and motor racing. But Hamilton, he won the race that he wasn't supposed to win, and and did it in classy fashion, as does Lewis Hamilton and just about anything. So for those reasons, I've definitely got Hamilton at number one on my list, Chris. And all that being said, it is time to take a short commercial break here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We still got a lot more to come. We got Tiffany Stone calling into the show, and you never know what's going to happen when T-Stone is on the line right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver, along with Tiffany Stone here, who is currently getting her Jeep prep for Trail to SEMA and LSPR and all that other fun stuff. What's happening, T-Stone?
Not much, actually. Just sitting at the shop right now at Unlimited Off-Road Centers in Fenton. And, big shout out to Pete and everybody, because I literally am coming here and I have to add some new things on here that are going to get ready for Trail to SEMA. But one of them, obviously, if last time we were chatting, and if anybody follows me on Instagram, you know that I needed a drive shaft. So another shout out to Tom Woods Drive Shaft for hooking me up I got a front drive shaft, so we're going to be installing that this week, and just getting things ready. It's really cool though, Jim, because I went from a 2-inch, sport lift with 35s, and I call them baby 35s now, but baby 35s, to a 3.5-inch short arm crawler kit with 37s, and it's just completely different. It's really cool. I like the way the JL's handling it too, because it seems like the JL, because I am spoiled, this is my first Jeep, I know that, but it just seems like all the things that all the Jeepers were complaining about before, they really put in here, and the ride's nice, and I'm still getting about 18 miles per gallon, Jim, with it being lifted and on 37s.
I'm calling BS on that. There's no way that Jeep of yours gets 18 miles a gallon. Like, there's no freaking way, Tiff.
It does. On the freeway, I'm getting 18 miles per gallon, and everybody knows I drive this all over, so I'll be driving it back to the West Coast right after LSPR. So I have to go from Houghton, Michigan, which is in the UP, all the way by Lake Superior, all the way down to the Phoenix, Arizona area. And, yeah, it's going to be quite insane to be able to see it that way. But, I'm still getting 18, and I was testing it, and I'm wondering if it's because of the amount of PSI that's in my tire. I'm not sure. I usually would run about 35, and they'd get heat up if they heat up to about 37. But now I had them stock at 37, and I didn't take any air out or anything because I wanted to see, and then they heat up to about 41, and that's where I'm getting it. So now I'm just wondering if it's because that I'm lifted or what's really going on, if it's because I have more, air in the tires. I don't know. So that's where I'm at right now.
Well, I know. So is it when they get heated up, they're changing pressure and stuff like that?
They're changing, yeah. So they'll go up a little bit more, but that's the thing. I'm trying to find that nice sweet spot of having a good ride and still having the miles on there to be able to do it, because pushing 18 makes me happy right now. Usually when I'm driving across the Great Plains, because this thing is just going to sail across the freeway now, knowing how high, I usually only get about 12. So I'm happy right now with the 18.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got my Raptor and went to fill it up the first time, and it took over 30 gallons. I'm like, holy crap, this is a big tank. Well, then I go and drive the damn thing, and I get 13 miles a gallon. I'm like, yeah, no, I understand why there's a 300-gallon tank or a 30-gallon tank, and it'll go, because that way you can go 300 miles, in between things. But I'm like, man, if you're getting 18 on your Jeep, props to you, because my Raptor, it's on 35s, and that thing ain't getting anywhere near that.
See, but the thing is my daily is a Chrysler 300S, and that's on 20s with an 8-speed. It's a 3.6 with an 8-speed on 20s. And I can get on the freeway, no joke. I've done this before, no drafting, no nothing, just cruise control around 75, 33 miles per gallon.
And my daily is a Subaru WRX twin turbo all-wheel drive, and I got to tell you, it doesn't get anywhere near that. And we're lucky if we can crack 20 on a good day. So.
And it's just quite amazing, because my Chrysler is pretty heavy for the 300.
Yeah. No, those are big cars. They're badass. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, yeah, they're not exactly like some little compact or something like that. That's hella good mileage for that thing.
Exactly. And I'm like a 30-something. I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, I get really good gas mileage. And then I'm driving a car. I completely the demographics on that car, I just completely, I'm not an older lady over the age of 65. And I'm like, I'm in my, my 30s being all excited about a Chrysler 300. But I feel like a beast in that car. It just rides really nice. It's a 2012, so it's 7 years old, but it's paid off. It rides nice. It sits on 20s, and it's limo tinted all the way around. So I couldn't be happier. Plus, it has a great sound system in there.
Yeah. So what is this commercial that you're becoming used car salesman or something? I see you post to Instagram. I'm like, I guess T-Stone, she's not hacking it, is on-air talent. She's got to start slinging used cars or something. What's the deal with that?
Nothing. It was just one of the clients through the TV studio that I work at. And so sometimes they just need some people to come in and a familiar personality or a familiar face. And so we kind of just went in and did that. Funny thing, though, Jim, about that commercial is that's the day after I spent till about 1:30 in the morning at the shop. So by the time I got home, showered, and did all that, I went to bed around 2:30, 3 o'clock actually. and then I had to be back up at 8:30, get ready, and then go to that photo shoot. So I had like 6 hours of sleep and memorized that script the day of before I shot it.
See, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to get you and like Matthew Stafford to do the commercial together or something like that. Like you got to have you and then get like some badass Detroit athlete or something like that. I'm saying they should hire me to be the producer on this deal. I'd have brought Stafford in with you, T-Stone.
Thank you. Or if we wanted to do a cool like luxury one, we could have brought Matthew McConaughey in, and he could be driving the Lincoln and talking to me like he does in those commercials.
Oh gosh. So yeah, you said LSPR's coming up. I know we got that. Then you and I are doing a couple of shows out at SEMA, and I don't know what's the weather looking like. This seems like a little late in the year for LSPR. Normally, it's like, isn't it normally like the beginning of October? I'm thinking this could be snowy conditions up there.
I don't know. We're getting that, heat wave right now. I'm looking at my watch, and it is 75 degrees on September 30th. So that's a little warm for us. Usually, it did rain. The rain's coming this week, but it's skeptical, especially in the UP, because the fall colors are going to be beautiful and amazing. But is it going to be cold? Is it going to be muddy? Is it going to be rainy, or a mixture of all? And who knows? Maybe at night it dips down that we have freezing ice temperatures in the morning too. So you never know.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I just was looking at it. I'm like, God, that seems like way late in the year. But I guess thinking about it, I don't know, like STPR, they've never really run this late either. Or maybe it's all shifted since I worked in the rally community. I don't know, but should be a fun one nonetheless, man. I'm crazy stoked on Oliver Solberg, what that kid's done this year. Like, to me, that's just mind blowing how fast that kid has been at that age. I'm like, how fast is he going to be when he's actually like 20?
Oh my goodness! Not even that. It's just like I was saying last time we talked, when I was chatting with Oliver when we were at STPR, and he had just come off of 3 different type events. This American stage rally was the 3rd and last event from those few weeks. And then it's just, he's so good in every type of vehicle. It seems like he just picks it up, and he's just going to get better and better. And I think that no matter what types of vehicles that they throw at him, anything with those, a wheel, it seems like he's just going to be able to dominate it. And when you have some of the greats around you, especially in your father, it's cool to be able to get some information from him, talk to him, see what he would be able to see. And then also just having that Subaru backing. They're very knowledgeable in everything that they do. And, talking to Bill Stokes, he's so excited for the future for 2020 and kind of what they're going forward to do.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Jeep side of things, there was an interesting social media post, and it was from some Jeep account. I can't remember, and I'm going to have to look back. I should know this off the top of my head. There's some new Jeep company that's trying to get ambassadors for their brand or something like that. And like there was this big argument. One of the people was like a Jeep ambassador. It was a girl, and she said something like, I don't know, I guess you tell me, and I've had this problem too, and this isn't just like in regards to Jeep. It was just it popped up on one of these accounts. But like this whole thing going around social media right now where it's like companies don't want to give you, they want you to be a spokesperson for their brand, but they don't want to pay you. They just literally want you to post up a picture and give you a discount code, and then they give you like a kickback or something like that. And and then if you want the product, they want you to buy it, and they'll give you a discount on the product. And I was just like, I kind of agreed with her because she was just like, this isn't the way to do things. I'm like, no, it's not at all. And it was just interesting with the whole conversation. Like, I'm like, gosh, it kind of loses its authenticity when you're posting like a stock photo. It's not even a picture of you with the product. I don't know. What's your take on all this? Like, I've done some of that type of stuff, but at least they put the product in my hand and like, and I'm selective about the stuff I do, but it wasn't like it was strictly based on, coupon code sales either, Tiff. It was like, I got some money up front and then and then a kickback on sales or something. I don't know. What's your take on this? Because social media's created this whole crazy thing. And I think there's a lot of people people like you and I who make a living in this industry. It's made it kind of hard because it's like these people are coming in and undercutting the market almost. And it's kind of like creating this crazy vortex for people like you and I.
No, I actually do agree with that. Going forward with everything that I do and every product that I use, if I say that it's quote unquote T-Stone approved, the something that I use, it's something that I use on my Jeep. It's on my product. Like, I don't have a stock photo. Every photo that anybody has ever seen, whether it's the BF Goodrich tires, the Vision wheels, like the Crawl Tech bumpers that I have, like those are things that were put on my Jeep, that were put on by the specific people, and that I actually have, you know. And regardless on what people say, well, did she pay for it? Did she not pay for it? Is she sponsored it? I've created different working relationships with each of the different clients with the products that I have. Each one is geared towards something different. You can say the same. Not every company has a budget that others ones do. So you kind of make things work. And I do the same exact thing. Even the stuff with like the discount codes, I literally only have 2 discount codes on anything. It's the MTM Hydro part stuff that I use, which is a detailing stuff, which I love. And that's one code. And then the Punched Energy stuff, which I don't post too much about it. But if people want to get that, you know, I do give them a code. And yeah, sure, we do get kickbacks from it, but I actually have those products in hand. The companies that I work with, I tell them, I can't say that something's T-Stone approved if I don't have it, if I don't use it, if I'm not going to stand behind it, because later on in life, you know, when we're talking about me wanting this off-road performance shop and all the products that are in there are going to be, you know, approved by me, I want to stand behind them. And I think these people just posting it to make money or kickback or doing whatever, sure, it helps them, but it does discredit the other people who do use those certain products and who do live by that and not just using it for a paycheck. But each person is different, and not everybody has the financial backing to be able to do some stuff. So, you know, having a coupon code and doing all that, sure, but if you're going to be a brand ambassador or somebody, I think the company should give you the products for free. And if, you know, moving forward, if you want to buy other things, then maybe a discount, but that's always a case-by-case scenario. I mean, that's the long answer, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I think you're completely spot on. You and I are on the same page on that one. It was an interesting conversation that popped up on social media, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't happen. And it was like, she was totally right on everything she said. It was interesting the way the whole thing came about and stuff like that. And I was like, I got to pick your brain, because I know, like, you know, I'm almost to the point where I'm like done with coupon codes. And it's like, you know, I get a lot of advertisers or people come in, hey, we want to do this. And at some point, like, I've got, you know, a dozen coupon codes. Literally, it's been that high at times. And then all of them are different. And I'm like, one's Jim Beaver, one's Beaver 15, one's this, one's Down and Dirty. And I'm like, man, how are people going to remember all this? I can't even remember which code goes with which company. I'm like, if we're going to do this, it needs to be uniform. They're all just coupon code Jim Beaver, and here's a list of websites. But it gets to the point where I feel like it's on deaf ears, because you get all these ambassadors like you and I, and if we all have 6 or 8 coupon codes, it's like crazy. And then, you know, they want to base their value they're getting out of you on those codes. But when they've got 15 athletes all pimping their codes out there, you know, and they see it, you know, and they pick one over the other, does it mean that one made the most impression? No, it's probably just the person that remembered the code, you know, or I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I feel like that was a marketing tactic that maybe had a little legs 5 years ago, but now it's like just completely saturated.
No, I agree with you on that too. Like, you know, after a while, I'm fortunate I just make it all T-Stone, whatever. The discount is 10 or 15, but I even have sometimes difficulties just being like, I want to go get this product. Well, I just remembered this person.
And I think you and I could talk for days on this tip, but we're up against the time break here. We got to take a short commercial break, but we come back. I'll be here to wrap things up right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into to this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. It is time to wrap things up. That is right. Been a great show so far. Thanks to T Stone, Chris Leone, and George Steinbrenner for calling in. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody with my rant, but I thought it was time to give a little rant, get that off my chest. Yeah, thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. Please, once again, head over to iTunes, hit the subscribe button, support us on iTunes, leave a rating or review. Definitely helps us out on the iTunes charts. Check out my other show, Project Action, on Podcast One on iTunes as well. All the content we're dropping at downanddirtyshow.com. Follow me at JimBeaver15 on social media. And a big thanks to Polaris Razor for all the support. General Tire, 4 Wheel Parts. 4 Wheel Parts actually just dropped a collaboration with Dixon Flannel. They've already sold 2,000 in the first day, but make sure you go over to 4WP. Get that. It's a limited edition flannel. It's amazing. If you're a flannel person like me, get in on it now, because when they're gone, they're gone. Our good friends at My Medic, thanks for the support. Use the coupon code JimBeaver to get you 15% off. Vision Wheel, Gibson Exhaust, Dirtfish. Yeah, Dirtfish, use the coupon code DOWNDIRTYDF. That'll get you 15% off at Dirtfish, Super ATV, Impact Race Products, and all of our supporters, especially you, the fans. We couldn't do it without you. I will be out at Lucas Oil at Glen Helen this weekend, calling the live stream. Make sure and tune in at Lucas Oil TV, or if you're in SoCal, make your way out there to Glen Helen and check us out. All right, time to sign off for this week. We'll be back next week with more Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.